Sunday, time for another panel show. We got guests, we got stories, we got a lot of stuff. Rob Robot Shlomo here. How's it going? How's the sound? Am I echoing? No? Yes? Maybe? We'll fix that. All right, it's enough of that. How's it going, everybody? And motorcycle drives by. With me today, listen, Jake is a little under the weather. Unfortunately, he's got the rockin' pneumonia and needs a shot of rhythm and blues. So we have with us today a very special guest. The Orange Hat Reviews is with us.
Thank you for having me.
Well, no, thank you for showing up because, as you know, this is a hot ticket. You know, said very few people. I don't have the biggest audience, but you know what? I have the best looking audience.
Yeah, that's what matters.
Yeah. Before we begin, listen, we have a new sponsor actually on the show. Yeah, we've been contacted by a certain somebody, and turns out we've reached a deal, and we have a new plug actually for tonight's show. And we're going to present it to you right now. We're going to let him speak for himself.
Feeling run down? Don't have the energy you used to? You want to put the zest back into your step? Then you need Superman Lizard Vitality. It's got everything you need to get your groove back. 100% guaranteed effective. Just look at what's done for me. And enter the code Universalist at checkout to get a free subspace shipping on your order. So don't delay. Get your 30-day supply for only $29.99 Quatlus. Don't be a tool of the Galactic World Order. Get yours now. Ah!
I tell you, that stuff's going to start flying off the shelves, you know.
Yep.
So, Orange Hat, tell us about yourself. Yep. Tell us about your channel. Tell us about what you do. What makes you you?
Well, I'm Orange Hat Reviews. I review movies, shows, movies that aren't exactly made for television either. I've actually had requests from adult industry to do some reviews for their stuff. I'm like, okay, that's weird, but whatever. And I also do movie discussion streams on Fridays. Well, every other Friday. In between Fridays are versus streams where I have people send me all sorts of suggestions on who versus who. I've been doing that or have 3 seasons of it so far. I even did the infamous Superman versus Goku from Dragon Ball Z. That one was fun. I also do mystery reviews on Wednesday mornings, which until there's a change or until there's something coming up. The one for this Wednesday is still on schedule. Hasn't been put up yet though, but yep, I do those 9:30 Eastern in the morning, and my nighttime streams are 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock, depends on guest convenience. I'm very flexible with that. And when it comes to movies and theaters, which finally my theater's open again because, you know, all that stuff going on, it's like, well, I can finally go to the theaters and see the movies that I like. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. Everybody head on over to Orange Hat Reviews. Check his channel out. Subscribe. Orange Hat, are you a sports fan?
When it comes to which sports in particular, I mean, I pay attention to the N.A.P.S. I haven't been a specific team fan for a very long time, but I used to be a great Raiders fan back in the 90s.
Okay, well, let's just run down before we start. I just want to run down the scores, okay? Because it's week 2 of the NFL. My team already played on Thursday night and lost miserably. So let's just run down the scores. So we're gonna take a look at those. So we got the Giants losing to Washington 30-29. Raiders over the Steelers 26-17. 49ers over the Eagles. Texans losing to the Browns. The Broncos over the Jaguars. The Panthers over the Saints. The Rams over the Colts. Sorry, Chef Carolyn, 27-24. Hope somebody had the over on that. The Bills over the Dolphins, 35-0. They took the collar. The Jets getting destroyed by the Patriots, 25-6. Bears over the Bengals, 2017. Falcons over the Buccaneers. Falcons and Buccaneers, 28-10. Buccaneers on top in the third quarter. Cardinals over the Vikings right now by 1 in the third quarter. Titans over the Seahawks at the half, 24-9. Cowboys and the Chargers. Cowboys leading the Chargers 14-11, 12:32 to go in the third quarter. Chiefs and Ravens are later tonight, and Lions and the Packers are tomorrow, your Monday night game. So those are the scores that we have for us now. Tim Pool named his rooster after me? No, he couldn't have. He couldn't have. Stop that. Tim Pool. Tim Pool has a rooster? When did Tim Pool get a rooster?
He lives out in the countryside, kind of went off grid kind of thing to get away from all the insanity that's been going around the country over the last year or two.
Yeah. Oh, Roberto. Oh boy. Yeah. So speaking of insanity, actually, let's just talk about the box office. So the only other scores we got here. Because you're a big movie guy, so let's talk about. Sure. Let's get this out of the way. So Dune reaps a heap with $37 million from early offshore debut. It's actually premiered in Europe now. Shang-Chi chops with $320 million worldwide at the international box office. Have you read Dune? You seen Dune? Any familiarity with Dune?
I have a little bit of familiarity with it. I watched the movie and sci-fi series Children of Dune back in the 2000s. I thought that was pretty cool. And it's like interesting stuff here. I mean, it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I tried reading the book. It's very dry, and the fact that it takes place in a desert, that's really saying something.
I know, right? 320 million worldwide. That still has about 46 million to go before it breaks any profit.
Yeah. So but you were familiar with the whole thing about the Shang-Chi thing. Now I'm kind of surprised he hasn't gotten canceled yet for it.
Same here.
I mean, this whole thing. We don't want to say too much about it. Yeah. But you were saying before you could shed some light on with it. Like I said, we don't want to go too far into the weeds on this one.
Yeah. Basically, what he said was he was doing research for a role that he was doing, which is that particular kind of person that a society does not really like, especially around kids. Let's just say that. And during his research, he came to sympathize with them and say they need a voice and all that. And well, it's like, no, they really don't. They kind of need help, and and anybody who acts on that sort of deviance, well, they need more than help. They need a padded room, cell, and other stuff.
Medication.
And yeah, lots of it. Potentially lobotomizing them. Let's just say that. And the insight I have is because I have a person who I know who works and treats these people. And one of the things they have always said is that it doesn't matter how much or how long you treat them. The second they get out of treatment, they will reoffend. Not necessarily physically, but now when we have things like the internet, well, use your imagination.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of bad stuff on the internet.
And the actor, Simu Liu, has actually come out responding to the backlash he's getting. He's like, Twitter is full of slanderous individuals who will do or stop at nothing to drag your name through the mud. Well, it's like I'm like, dude, this Reddit stuff where you have said all this, which is now archived, you have said numerous times on your Reddit posts, hey, this is Simu Lu, it's me, Simu, and all this stuff. You're admitting who you are. You did say this stuff. You did make these statements. And also, I have a lot of friends who are in the LGBTQ community as well as I am, and he says he makes the comparison to that sort of behavior to homosexuality. And I'm like, no, sir. Let me tell you one thing right now. They're nothing like that at all. Because that is damaged way of thinking. That is a very disgusting way of thinking, where homosexuality just means you are in or you have an attraction to your own gender. There is a very big difference between gender and age. And so he also, and this is not the first time that Simu has lied or exaggerated things or whatever. I also, I reported on my own channel about how he said, oh, I'm breaking the ceiling or the glass ceiling for all those Asian actors out there or all those by being in a first action role. I'm like, did you just seriously say that? You got a supporting actress in your movie, Shang-Chi, who has done hundreds or maybe dozens of action movies. Her name's Michelle Yeoh. So you want to say that, or that glass ceiling's kind of been shattered. I mean, look at Bruce Lee, Jet Li, Jackie Chan, Donnie Yen, just to name off a handful. Who else? Well, Michelle Yeoh, so there's a handful. Mm-hmm. It's like they broke that glass ceiling so much and also kept on stepping on the shards that it's been crushed into sand. You are basically walking on a glassy, sandy beach and have done nothing but just simply being another actor who did an action movie.
Yeah.
That's it.
I keep saying that I can't wait in a few years to where Simu Lee he's whatever he's doing. He says, yeah, I was in a Marvel movie. And people say to him, really? Which one?
Yeah, I know, right? I mean,
yeah.
It's like
there's a lot of money in my head. So
I mean, even the Dune director, when he said that Marvel movies have basically turned people into zombies, and a lot of people had outrage over it, it's like, well, he's actually kind of right. I mean, if you really pay attention to how people react at theaters and whatnot, slap a Marvel logo on it, slap MCU on it, slap Disney on it, what's going to happen? You're going to get a lot of people going to those theaters.
Well, yeah, they've been trained. They've been trained to go.
Yeah.
Mecca would always say you have to train your audience to show up. You have to train your audience to show up. Like, yeah, you pretty much, the audience has been trained to show up when it comes to Marvel movies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's me. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I'm not a fan of the Disney stuff. I do find little bits of entertainment here and there in some of their stuff, but I don't acknowledge it as Star Wars. I'm just weird that way. But but people are like so blind. And yes, I've been accused of gatekeeping on several things. I'm not going to get too much into it, but it's like, if you are going to say like Star Wars simply because it's Star Wars, well, no offense to anybody who likes Star Wars simply because it's Star Wars, but when some people say that, just like it because that's what it is, like J.J. Abrams told people, it's like, why not just like Star Wars simply because it's Star Wars? It's like, okay, so you're saying that I could take a piss into a jar and slap the Star Wars logo and say that a Porg or a Bantha or something took a leak and people would buy it. That's the kind of people you want to sell your product to. People who are that. I mean, when it comes to fans of franchises like me, I've been a Star Wars fan since I was 2 years old. So it's like I'm delved into the lore. I'm read into all of it. And people love to call fans like me and other fans I know toxic and whatnot. It's like, are we toxic or are we passionate? If we call or if we say something like that shouldn't happen in Star Wars, maybe instead of calling us toxic, you can actually say, okay, why doesn't it work? We can have a conversation. But the stuff
Well,
with
you know,
Simu Liu, he doesn't want to hear anybody. I mean, he went after other YouTubers and whatnot who were just reporting on what the mainstream media themselves were reporting on. And technically, his movie has not made profit yet. So, and once the 45 days in theaters is up, you're only going to get like maybe a couple more million from the Disney Plus because people are willing to wait for a movie to come out for free on Disney Plus. They don't like the $30 to pay and watch, you know? If it was 20, I might be tempted, but 30, hell no.
Did you see Black Widow?
Yes, I saw Black Widow.
What did you think?
I thought that was a movie that shouldn't have been named Black Widow. It should have been called Me Too.
Me Too, the movie. Well, it's weird. Like I said, this is a movie that should listen, we've all heard the criticisms that it it should have been made 5 years ago. It's too late.
Oh,
but
it should have.
But the other thing too is like, when you said that you've been accused of gatekeeping for when you said that this shouldn't be this way and here's why. The most frequent response I always seem to run into is, well, these are fictional characters. You can do whatever you want. I'm like, no, you can't. You got to adhere to the rules that have already been laid out.
Yeah. Established rules matter. A lot of things that a lot of people called out about I'm going to use Star Wars again as an example. A lot of people who pointed out valid criticisms for when TLJ and stuff came out. It's like, you're going to ram that thing or you're going to ram a small ship into something that big. Well, first off, here's the problem. Once gravity is detected by your sensors, your ship is pulled out of light speed. There is a thing called gravity wells. That ship had its own gravity, so to speak, had its own atmosphere and whatnot. When Disney is showing shows like The Mandalorian, as decent of a show as it was, it still has a lot of lore violations like using or jumping to hyperspace while still in atmosphere. Doesn't work. You'd actually crash into the atmosphere and blow your ship to pieces. This is stuff that has been known in the lore since George Lucas created it. Also, the whole light speed skipping thing, don't get me started on that.
Well, there's also another practical, there's a practical consideration. It's even just like, listen, I know Star Wars isn't the most science fiction rooted. It's an event. Listen, Star Wars is an action adventure series, okay?
Yeah.
It's an action adventure series. It's adventure. It's fantasy adventure. It's set in space rather than in a mythic kind of time. I equate it to being more similar to Lord of the Rings than anything. And if you actually watch Fellowship of the Ring and if you watch A New Hope back to back, you'll see there's a lot of similarities to both of them.
Oh yeah, Lucas did say he took inspiration from Tolkien.
Mm-hmm. But the other thing too is when things don't make sense, like I said, a ship of that size moving in the atmosphere, those ships aren't designed to be moving in the atmosphere.
Exactly.
And I don't know if you're
created out in space.
Yeah, I don't know if you're a big fan of Star Trek.
I know some things here and there.
Well, and even though you take a look at the designs of the ship, hold on, let me see. J.J. Abrams and both Alex Kurtzman are both guilty of this. Their big thing is to have a ship moving in the atmosphere.
Not a ship the size of the Enterprise doesn't work.
Yeah. And exactly, and even just the shape of it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
what about this? And I know I'm putting way too much thought into this. What about this ship says, yeah, I can just fly that around?
Well, the thing is,
The design makes no sense from a practical standpoint.
exactly. I mean, I'm not a person to get into design and whatnot because I do kind of dabble with it because I have certification in AutoCAD, but it's like that thing, put that in an atmosphere or crashing into an atmosphere, the nacelles would go or would shear off
Mm-hmm.
strictly from the very thin structures to hold them there, as would the neck. The neck would collapse too.
Mm-hmm.
That's why in Star Trek, when people were going from Earth to the ship like the Enterprise, they actually did do this in J.J. Abrams' first one. They had shuttles go up from Earth to the ship in space. It's because they couldn't get something that big or that weirdly designed out without a lot of problems.
Mm-hmm. Gene Roddenberry addressed that. They showed the ships in space dock being the
Mm-hmm.
ships are actually built in space. They're built
Yeah.
and they're pressurized, and I mean it's like it's just from a practical standpoint. And the other thing too is J.J. Abrams also has a big boner for ships lifting out of the water.
Yeah, that also is a problem because in space, there's no pressure. A lot of people say that it's hyper pressurized and whatnot. Um, in space and underwater, the only reason why people do underwater simulations for space or for trips out into space is because of the simulated low gravity situations. However, in water, you are also getting pressure applied to your body as you move. The deeper you go, the increase in pressure. In space, it is constant, less pressure, but there might be pressure in certain areas depending on whether you go next to a nebula or not, judging by theoretical science. But yeah, you can't, or a ship that, or them putting the Enterprise underwater like they did in the second movie, I think it was. I'm
Yeah.
like, that movie would be hitting a lot of pressure problems.
Yeah. I always like to call him Jughead Abrams, but I said no. That's not fair. That's a really bad insult to Jughead.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the way I see it, I'm surprised anybody could see anything in those damn movies because of all of his love for lens flares.
Oh God. Oh
It's like,
God.
dude, you do another lens flare, I'm gonna hunt you down and I'm gonna smack you with a lens flare.
What why does all our sci-fi suck? Everything sucks at the same time.
I mean, the old stuff, hey, I have no problem with the older stuff. It's the new stuff nowadays that just seem to get everybody or get a lot of people uninterested. I mean, I was a very big Next Generation fan. I watched it with my dad religiously growing up. And nowadays, when I heard that they were doing Picard, it's like, then I hear what they're doing with Picard, and I'm like, did they forget what they have shown in previous movies? I mean, when they did First Contact, they're like, what's her name was asking Picard about different things. He's like, we put aside all of the petty things like race difference and political difference. We became united as a single planet of people. And then Picard came along. I'd never watched a single episode, and I still won't. And I saw a couple clips, and it's like, you guys are going off the whole race thing again. What the heck is going on here? I thought you guys were above that crap, you know? And even Patrick Stewart himself is saying, I want this to be a political statement. And it's like, it was never political, dude. Why are you pulling that crap, you know? And there are people that love to draw political conclusions and political interpretations, sure. But when you have the person who creates the thing say, I want to make this statement, I want it to be innuendo on, well, the previous guy in the White House, Trump, it's like, that's your own interpretation. Most of Hollywood hates one side of politics or the other. That's widely known. So obviously they're going to use their own bias to paint it into something that is not fully true. An interpretation, as I call it, is a half truth because you are automatically interpreting it how you want it to be, not necessarily what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Anubis, oh shit, I got an idea. I must try to build the Enterprise and Kerbal Space Program to see how it would turn. Yeah, actually, people have done that. A lot of people have done that. I played Kerbal Space Program, but I could never get the ships into orbit.
I'll have to look that up, that Kerbal Space Program stuff.
Oh, it's actually pretty fun. You get these green little fuckers, and you build, and you actually got to run a space program, build rockets, and you got to try to launch them into space. And occasionally they burn up in the atmosphere and they go boom and they die in horrible ways. The real reason people use the alien species is because we are human must relate to something we know. Otherwise, you get into a form of uncanny. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. Star Trek would occasionally touch on broadly political issues. Yeah, touch on it, not go full in depth.
Episodes like A Private Little War were, which is obviously a commentary on Vietnam, but they would do it very well. We must maintain that balance of power so that neither side can become too powerful. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I don't remember the exact dialogue. Yeah. We are to maintain the balance of power. So, I do a horrible Kirk. So,
well, a lot of time right now. I do not have each day we're doing something else to get. I live in a house that is 100 years old, over 100 years old. So it takes a lot to get it ready for seasonal changes. Let's just say that.
I imagine, it's not very well insulated.
Oh, it's well insulated. It's it's an old hotel, but it's now a livable house. Also, it has ghosts, so it's veritably the Overlook.
My buddy Kev actually, he lives in a house that is haunted, and it's actually haunted by the ghost of like a 10-year-old girl or something. And they've heard footsteps and everything. He was renovating it, and he breaks down a wall and he finds a pair of like child's patent leather shoes behind it.
Damn.
I'm like, that's creepy, dude.
That is creepy. We have a 12-year-old 12-year-old kid ghost here, an old lady ghost, and a couple others ranging somewhere in between 12 years old and 78 years old. But yeah, let's just say that the 12-year-old's a mischievous little shit. He likes to knock things over.
So anyway, yeah. So I'm not looking forward to going. So anyway, back to what we were talking about. What were we talking about? I don't remember.
The Simu Liu thing.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, him basically saying that stuff, and the fact that he's received backlash for it, but a lot of people are saying, well, Disney should get rid of him. I'm like, Disney's not going to get rid of him. I reported on this a year ago. How they actually have those kind of people working for them. There was a thing that Bounding Into Comics actually reported on about a child star whose parents tried suing the talent agency and whatnot, and tried going after Disney because, he was being forced to sleep with adults and whatnot. He was being forced into all that kind of behavior. And they took a woman who slept with him, who was working with the talent agency. Well, instead of being a normal, rational thinking person that Disney should have had working for them, and turning that person in, what did they do? They transferred her to another department.
Mm.
So honestly, tell me, folks, do you really think they're going to give a crap about somebody who is not exactly that kind of person, but sympathizes with them?
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, it's a dirty business.
Unfortunately, Disney is the Wayland Yutani of real life.
Well, okay,
Or
let's
close to getting there.
not dwell on this. Like as Howard would
Yeah.
say, let's not dwell on this. We're not supposed to dwell on this.
Seems like a
Girl
lot of people-
Storm, yeah, we did stay at the Stanley.
Like a stream from the Stanley Hotel. Nice.
That's the Murder Hotel that Steven Spielberg wrote The Shining at.
Nice. Because that's actually the reference that I was making with the Overlook.
Mm-hmm. Seemed a lot of people died young back then. Yeah. Well, back then, you step on a rusty nail, it was a death sentence.
We didn't have the medical innovations we did back then. Or they didn't have it that we have back then. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just circle back. Yeah. Stephen King stayed there. Nice. Only to get die young. Very true.
So do you know anything about you're a comics fan, aren't you?
I dabbled in comics as a kid, but I haven't really kept up with it. So
this has been making the rounds, actually. This photo. This scan from comics. I'm like, but honestly, who's reading this? Look,
I wouldn't.
How much freaking dialogue is there?
What is here? Who are the characters? First off,
oh, okay. This has got to be Kitty Pryde.
Yeah, that looks like her.
Nah, this is Colossus.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No idea who this is.
Yeah, probably Bobby or Iceman.
It always begins as a joke. As you see, Father, do not approve. Then the shadow. Oh yeah, I've lost interest already.
Yeah, I'm like, really? What is going on here?
Is this a Marvel comic or a Lifetime movie of the week?
Right?
Holy crap!
It's like, Marvel, get your stuff together, man. It's past noon. Get your life together.
Holy crap!
Star-Lord because Shadowcat married Star-Lord. Could be. I mean, but then again, nowadays, man and woman marriages are taboo.
Actually, I was
was
talking about that last night. I did a solo stream about. Did you notice? Okay, when I was younger, we had movies like we were talking about this a little bit off the air. We had movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Mm-hmm.
We had movies like The Last American Virgin.
Yep.
I referenced Up the Academy.
Yep.
We had Porky's, Animal House. Have you noticed that pretty much all the sex has gone out of like the movies?
Yeah.
Unless it's, sex between two women or between two men, Brokeback Mountain or whatever,
Yeah.
But like,
I mean,
sex is dirty. Meatballs. Yeah, Meatballs is another good one.
Yep.
Revenge of the Nerds. Every once in a while, you'll see a think piece come around that, oh my God, Revenge of the Nerds is so problematic. I'm like, yeah, but it's funny. But it's problematic.
Or Cesario, I already know about Geode.
Oh my God, the Geode. Oh my God.
Dude, that told me flat out that Disney has lost all all sense of creativity, because if you're creating a rock to be your co-pilot or a navigator, you're also creating a ship called Ship. And I'm like, right.
And the thing is, they don't have the self-awareness to really realize how dumb it is.
Star Wars was at its best when George Lucas's first story group, Timothy Zahn, Karen Travis, Lucino, and all of them were writing. This new story group, you want dinosaurs in space? You want the diversity. You want I'm like, did you look? Did you see that thing? Did you actually see? How is that? How is that rock there and then going to go in? How does it move? Do they just like pick it up on a crane, kind of open up a port in the top of the ship and just drop it on in? I'd love to know this.
Yeah, that's a really good question.
I mean, is the rock sentient? It doesn't even seem. How is it? If it's sentient, can it breathe?
We don't know. We just don't know. And the other image, when I broke down hysterically about this, there's the rock behind him.
Oh my! Just one person would think that is a chair or a seat or something.
I thought it was a door.
Or that, yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, what is this?
It's the gift that keeps on giving.
Yeah, tell me about it. It's the gift. For YouTubers and content, yeah. How dare you ask such evil questions?
How dare you?
Yeah.
I can't remember what was the name of the lady? Noelle Gray or something like that. No, it was like Emily Gray, whatever the hell her name was.
That did what?
She created this. She admits to being a Star Trek fan, and she was on the panel.
Oh crap! I forget her name. She actually was a decent writer before all this crap started.
Hold on.
It uses Force FedEx. Like Ray teleporting lightsabers. Force FedEx. Nice.
And let me see if I can find it. She was on a Zoom call with one of the Zoom panels, and she
did the live long and prosper thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, are you trolling right now? Because I think you're trolling.
Oh, that's her. This is her.
Claudia Gray, yeah. Claudia Gray.
Yeah. Claudia Gray, yeah.
I'm like, Claudia, you did there's some people out there that said you were doing some pretty good stuff, but this is just redonkulous. I'm not saying ridiculous, I'm saying redonkulous. That means it's a whole level beyond ridiculous.
Yeah. I just don't understand. And the big thing is they're still getting these they're still getting these young adult writers.
Yeah.
To write this stuff. I'm like, the young adult thing is past. It's gone.
I mean, I get that you want to give people new job opportunities, but whatever happened to hiring on merit?
Oh, now it's
hiring. When you're doing huge franchises, you want merit. You want people who are skilled, people who are not going or who are not new. You want people who know what they're doing, who's been in the job for a few years, who has some critically acclaimed work and whatnot. But, well, nowadays critically acclaimed basically means very little. But still, it's like Claudia Gray does have some good works under her skin or under her belt. Like, from what I hear, I honestly can't tell you what she has, but it's like nowadays, because of the whole PC culture, everybody has to jump in or they lose their job. And it's like, well, here's the thing. Hiring based on merit is now deemed racist. Yeah, that's the problem, Liam. Or Liam Neeson's chin, LNC. The thing is, they all want to hire based on skin color or sexuality and stuff like that. It's like, what does that have to do with your skill set? Except for sexuality. The only thing that skill set has to do with sexuality is how you perform in the bedroom or lack thereof. But when you come into, or when you are doing like serious work or work that should be deemed taken seriously, like continuing a franchise that has endured since 1977, you want to, shall we say, make sure you got some top tier writers. You know, Geo stuck between a Karen and a soy boy cuck. Yeah, who are these two people?
Oh God, one's guy's supposed to be Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, I know. Well, that would be an insult to Matt McConaughey.
Hmm.
I actually like some of his work.
Yeah, Matthew McConaughey. Listen, as much as people give him shit for this movie, I still like the movie Sahara because it's the closest thing to a Clive Cussler to Clive Cussler's Dirk Pitt that we're gonna get.
Yeah. Matt McConaughey deserves a freaking Medal of Honor. You want to know why? He was going to try to kill a dragon with an axe.
The Rain of Fire.
Yep.
Hmm.
Please use Odyssey. What was that one that said? Well, Orange, considering how they're obsessed with sketching out the sexuality of action figure cartoon characters, is it any surprise? No, not really. Could anyone see Michael Clark Duncan as Red Skull in a scene together with, and at work? Michael Clark Duncan and Red Skull. Michael Clark Duncan. Well, he was the big black dude, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Sadly passed on.
Yeah.
And
so.
Red Skull in a scene together. I could see Michael Clark Duncan lifting up the Red Skull by his neck and throwing him over a cliff. Sure. I mean, considering who the Red Skull, or what kind of person the Red Skull is.
See, I'm trying now. It's really, really, like I said, I'm really scratching my head, and this is what they think is going to sell. This is what they think is going to be, going to be the future. This is what they're banking the future Star Wars on.
This is what they're trying to sell the Star Wars fans who like Star Wars because it's Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could take a leak in a jug, slap the Star Wars logo, and say it's from a bantha or from some obscure alien species in Star Wars, and they would buy it because of the Star Wars logo, period, on the jug. It's sad. It really is.
It is, yeah.
I mean, I've seen, or they've done other things, and I've recently even got into this with the person on Twitter. They're like, can you give me a specific example of lore violations and identity politics in Star Wars? I gave them specific examples, and they're like, you haven't been able to give me a specific example. I'm like, how many more do you need? Because I gave them the whole TIE Fighter argument. It's like, you do know the TIE Fighter, minimally designed, compact. Why do you think they wear the helmets with those chest things on, or with those things on their chest? Well, it's because TIE Fighters have no atmosphere in their ship. Also, they have no life support. That's what that thing is on their chest. It is a life support system. Also, TIE Fighters can't use hyperspace because only one TIE Fighter had a hyperspace capability. That was Darth Vader's. And it was the only one designed, and the prototype was put on the ship. The design itself was on the Death Star when it blew, so it couldn't be replicated. I mean, this is what happens when you screw around with lore that has been out there for so long. Why do you think TIE Fighters in the later movies didn't have hyperspace? Until the Disney trilogy came along.
Like I said, they started hiring people. Oh, you can do whatever you want. You can do whatever you want. No, you can't. No, you can't.
Well, that Matt Woods character guy who's a Star Wars thing, he's like, canon is what you make, or what you say it is. if you want it to be this, that's canon. I'm like, careful, this is a double-edged sword you're playing with. Because you're only really contributing to further divide. Vader's fighter was also a hell beefier than the standard. Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Because he's Darth Vader. He gets the best stuff.
Yeah. He designed his own TIE fighter. He's like, while the flat wings are good and all, they don't leave a lot of maneuverability. So let's curve the wings in. Let's put this here. Let's do this a little bit. Okay, here we go. And Zombo. I have no idea who Charon Zombo is.
That's from Mobile Suit Gundam.
Oh, right.
Yeah. So, brother.
Yes, Mecha Geo does suck.
That goes without saying.
Yeah. Advanced X11 can't believe I remember its name. Yeah, yeah, there you go. Dude, you're what's known as a fan who delved into the lore. Or the X1, yeah, rather. Not X11.
So anyway.
Black Kingpin.
Well.
The thing is, actually, you want to know what? I thought he did pretty good as the Kingpin. Because he had the ferocity of Kingpin from the comics, where Kingpin in the comics, dude, Kingpin could take on the Thing.
Oh, Kingpin could throw down.
Oh yeah. If people got through his security, it's like, okay, now you got to face the Kingpin, and don't think that he's just a fat guy. He'll kick your butt, dude.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's all. I mean, jeez. Kingpin was actually that's all muscle underneath there.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he does have a little bit of flab here and there, but for the most part, it's like, dude, I thought D'Onofrio did a better Kingpin though. D'Onofrio fully showed what the Kingpin was all about, crushing a dude's head in the door until it was just brain matter that spilled out. It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, Kingpin
was more of a sumo wrestler type. Sumo wrestler meets Marine, dude. Let's just say that. I mean, he may not have been a Marine, but he was freaking stacked.
So anyway,
what else do we got?
I kind of want to talk about this whole Jeopardy thing. I don't want to spend
too much. I'm curious about that. What's going on with Jeopardy?
Well, music's here. They're coming to take me away. Haha.
Yeah, I know that song too. It's one of my favorites from when I was younger.
So yeah. So what happened was they, sadly, as we all know, Alex Trebek left us.
Yep.
And they started looking for a new Jeopardy host. I prefer the term moderator. So they started looking for a new moderator, and executive producer Mike Richards was one of the candidates. And don't give me this, he chose himself, because as soon as he was in the running to be the new moderator of Jeopardy, he was actually removed from the selection process. Yeah. So you're being disingenuous, and when you say that. So it actually did come down to that he became the host, but not before Twitter decided to make LeVar Burton should host Jeopardy. Where do I vote a thing?
Mm-hmm.
So LeVar Burton got 250,000 signatures on an online petition. They gave him a guest slot at the tail end of the guest star run, because they had to pencil him somewhere, because all these decisions have been made months in advance.
Yeah.
And so he goes out there and listen, he left something to be desired. I don't want to say he laid an egg, but he didn't do as good a job as everyone hoped.
Yeah.
And when it comes out that Mike Richards was selected, and then the accusations started flying. Oh my God, he chose himself. Mike Richards edited LeVar Burton's episodes to make sure that he wasn't that good. I'm like, well, how about LeVar Burton wasn't very good? How about that? Oh no, but it was a conspiracy. But like, how about he wasn't that good? Oh,
How
but
about also? I mean, how about also LeVar Burton said he didn't want to do it.
yeah, he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Yeah.
And the accusations are still flying. It's just like, oh, but he made sure that Mike Richards. And so they dug up dirt on Mike Richards, and he said boobies on a podcast years ago, and he called the booth girls at like trade shows booth institutes
Yeah.
and booth hoes or whatever.
Oh
And
God, man. Really?
and he's like, and he was named in a lawsuit by one of the girls on The Price is Right, one of the models.
Oh my God. Bob Barker was also freaking accused of stuff a while back too. You didn't see anybody want to cancel him.
Well, but that's before Bob Barker was just an evil old white man.
Exactly.
But isn't it? Correct me if I'm wrong. But if a production company like that is sued, isn't everybody in the upper management named in the suit?
If the entirety of the company, yes, that is in fact yes.
Yeah. So I mean, he's just named in the suit, and he was overheard at a Christmas party, because one of the Price is Right models had gotten pregnant. Oh geez, all the girls I fire, the one I keep, when she gets pregnant. Pretty innocuous comment,
Yep.
But it became a big thing, and of course Twitter wanted his head.
Yeah.
And Twitter got what it wanted, but they got Mike Richards out of there, but not before LeVar Burton laid an egg.
Yeah.
So Twitter didn't get what it wanted, and now there's been a full meltdown on Twitter over the past few days. Why don't they just hire LeVar Burton? He doesn't want to do it, but people want him. He doesn't want to do it. But he taught me how to read. No, your kindergarten teacher taught you how to read.
Yeah, I remember that stuff too. It's like, but people want it. Well, here's the thing, folks. Folks on Twitter, here's a lovely age-old truth that you need to know. People don't need to give a shit what you want. It's that simple.
Yeah. Twitter somehow became the television and film industry's HR department. It's really got to stop. It really does.
Indeed, it does. Sorry, I had to yawn.
That's fine. I'll be yawning pretty soon from caffeine crash.
Yeah. Yeah, Disney hires Harvey Weinstein's Yeah, exactly, right?
Yeah. Leslie Headland.
I call her the chin.
Uncle Harvey. She called him Uncle. Didn't she call him Uncle Harvey? I think she called him Uncle Harvey.
I believe she did, but we also got, what's her name, calling frickin' our Lord and Savior Harvey Weinstein. Who was that? It wasn't Helen Mirren. It was the other one that looks like Helen Mirren.
Oh God, Jessica,
the non-British one.
Jennifer Lawrence, the young Helen Mirren.
No, I'm talking about the woman who's as old as Helen Mirren, but is not Helen Mirren, who's not is not British. Who?
Glenn Close.
No, but you're getting close.
Leslie Headland, yeah.
Yeah, Leslie Headland is the chin lady. Meryl
Streep?
That one, yeah. She literally called frickin' Harvey Weinstein at an award ceremony our Lord and Savior, and basically referred to him as God and whatnot. It's like, yeah, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Well, the guy, listen, the guy, regardless of what he did, the guy was a big time producer in the industry. Okay, listen, yeah, he's a scumbag, but you know what? He was a giant in the industry, like it or not. I'm not condoning what he did when I say that.
Yeah. Here's another thing that a lot of people don't. This is going to be controversial, but here's something that a lot of people are not going to want to hear, but need to hear. Kathy Bates said it perfectly. Back in those days, I'm not saying it was right. I want to make that clear right now. I'm not saying it was right, the whole casting couch thing.
Mhm.
But when they agree to have to do a sexual act, that is consent. When they decided to go to that room or to go to that hotel or whatever to meet up and do the nasty to get that role, you gave consent. And when it comes to all these accusations and whatnot, yeah, Harvey Weinstein may have taken advantage of women. Yeah, there is those claims. But if any of them also gave consent, your entire argument dies. I'm not saying what he did was right. I am not saying the casting couch thing is good. I am saying that's pure evil, if you ask me. I am simply saying back in those days, it was a mutual understanding and consent was given.
Oh yeah.
Because you regret it nowadays does not mean it was quote unquote the R word that rhymes with grape. That just means you regret having to do it. And actually, it makes a person question, what about many of these actresses back when they were younger? Sure, maybe he did take advantage. The whole Scream 3 argument comes to mind with Lance Henriksen. Maybe they did take advantage of her. Maybe this isn't a place for innocence. You know?
Yeah.
It sucks that this stuff happened. Like I said, I don't condone it at all. But you got to look at all the sides of the argument. You got to look at every piece of legality attached to it. If consent is given and you are claiming that you were assaulted or that word, if consent is given, that no longer applies. Now, if they went excessive, you can make a claim further on, yes. But now the laws are different. Now the laws are not so definitive, where if a person says yes now, but during the deed is happening, they say no, you got to stop and whatnot. Back then, that wasn't always the case.
Well, like I said, yeah. I mean, but Hollywood is the worst of all worlds. You know, you combine wealth, status, and power, and a lot of free time.
Not only that, well, the kind of people that Simu sympathize with, basically, Mel Gibson said it correctly. Hollywood is rife with those kind of people.
Yeah.
I mean, if I was on my own channel, I would actually say that word, because if you say it on a monetized channel, you actually will get demonetized. Me, I'm not monetized. I don't give a crap.
Yeah, they're troglodytes.
Troglodytes, yeah.
We're full of troglodytes. So
as for Jeopardy, you know what? I think I said it best backstage. What they should have done with Jeopardy is after Alex Trebek passed on, they should have had it pass on with him, because you're not going to find anybody as good as him. Also, your ratings are already going to dip or are dipping right now. There is going to be an adjustment period that's needed, but still, it will never be as good as he did it.
No. At the very least, go into reruns for an extended period of time before you find the right guy, and don't do the search in public. Do not do the search in public. That's the thing. You do it behind closed doors, so it doesn't leak out, and so it's removed from external pressure.
There you go. Also, have a test audience.
That's the thing. I mean, that was the thing. The other thing, we don't know what the selection process was really like? We really, yeah, okay, yeah. They hosted a lot of shows. Did they do interviews? Did they? I'm sure they did focus groups. How do you like this guy? What do you think could be better? What do you think? What do you think? Where do you think you can improve on? Do you like his style? What do you think of yada yada?
Yeah.
You should have had a host lined up and not acted like people had a choice. Actually, yeah.
Yep.
Alex said there were two people he would have liked. Now everyone heard this and they instantly went to the quote unquote woman of color, Laura Coates at CNN, who's a political reporter.
Oh God.
Now he said, I would like to see Laura Coates. And then he also said, you know what? There's a guy by the name of Alex Faust, who is the play-by-play man for the Los Angeles Kings. He would make a good. He said Trebek said he thought he would make a good Jeopardy moderator. But everyone just went right to Laura Coates. Why don't they get Laura Coates? Why don't they? He nominated her. No, he suggested.
He showed interest in her. He said maybe she could do it. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'd like to see it.
He thought she would be good. Now, did anyone bother to ask her? Did anyone bother to ask what's her contract look like? Did anybody bother to ask if she was willing to move her and her family from DC to LA?
Yep, there you go.
She has I think she's got 3 kids. Maybe she's not willing to move. Did you ever think of that? Oh, but they need some of No, stop. This isn't American Idol. You don't get a vote. Okay?
Exactly.
Okay.
As for who were the 2 people they chose?
Well, right now it's Mayim Bialik and Ken Jennings.
Yeah. I've heard of Ken Jennings.
Mayim Bialik she was on Big Bang Theory. She's an actress. She was on Blossom. And she's
Big
also
Bang Theory. What one? Wait, is she the one that was what's her
Amy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That woman's legitimately an actual genius.
She has a PhD in neuroscience.
Yeah.
And they want to get away from an actor or a stand-up comedian.
Oh heck, you want to know who I would have chose?
Who?
Gina Davis.
Yeah, okay.
She's Mensa.
I can see that, yeah.
I would have had her host Jeopardy.
And
think about it. You got somebody who is insanely smart, and you got a woman, so you checked off one of those woke boxes.
Mm-hmm.
She has too much money. Yeah, maybe, but
people say to me,
go ahead.
People say to me, I always go my go-to guy, and sadly he's no longer with us. Who would you like to see host Jeopardy? Norm Macdonald. As Final Jeopardy, the category is
10 years, man. He was fighting for 10 years.
Yeah, I feel Norm seemed like a good guy.
And the thing is, I only started looking at his stuff now because when he died, I'm like, who's Norm Macdonald? And everybody's like, he was one of the best comedians ever. I'm like, never heard of him. He was on Saturday Night Live. That's why I never heard of him. I don't watch Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live's had better days.
Oh, it has had infinitely better days, even from when I was a teenager.
Yeah, I mean, there were some years it was at the top of its game, from like maybe 91, 92 to 94, maybe. Or 95. I mean, that was really good. And sometime the late 80s was really good. And of course, the late 70s was good.
Cleric 49 here. And hello, Mr. Roboto. Good to see you. Dolph Lundgren, he's got his degree in chemistry. You guys want to know something funny? Somebody had a meme out there with a picture of Dolph Lundgren and Bill Nye the Science Guy. When you find out that Dolph Lundgren is more of a scientist than Bill Nye the Science Guy.
Well, they would say
a degree in chemistry and all. He could make a bomb if he wanted to, which they actually played that on Expendables 2.
Well, in all fairness, Bill Nye he's the science guy, not the scientist. So
he's an engineer.
Yeah, he's an engineer.
That's all he is. He's an engineer. They put him on TV because he had a gimmick name.
Yeah, That's still more of an education than I got, It's still.
Yeah. I mean, he also, folks, now that we're all adults, let's drop some truth here. He was reading from a script.
Just like LeVar Burton.
Yeah, exactly. Where Gina Davis, I'm willing to bet she could outplay anybody in Jeopardy.
Okay. Well, anyway. Okay. Well, we're coming up. Yeah. Okay, we're coming up on. We're in just about an hour. I usually only like to go an hour. That way, we don't feel like we're holding our guests hostage.
Yeah.
So
hey, I could go all night if you wanted. Holy crap!
We'd wear the audience out. It would be only me and you left. So
yeah, that's true.
Besides, like I was saying, I don't like to hold people longer than an hour. So, but usually this time of the show, I like to do some unusual animal stories, just as like a palate cleanser. And I've got a couple lined up. Actually, one with audio too.
Nice.
So, got a couple of unusual animal stories. Let's get to those.
All right.
Audio of Ripper, the talking Australian duck rediscovered.
Oh my gosh.
34-year-old recording appears to be the first documented evidence of the species being able to mimic sounds. Researcher Dr. Peter Folgar recorded Ripper in 1987 at the Tidbinabila Nature Reserve near Canberra. But his recordings were only recently rediscovered by Professor Karel ten Kate of Leiden University of the Netherlands. Professor ten had been researching vocal learning in birds when he came across a mysterious reference to a talking musk duck who could imitate sounds, such as a slamming door. This came as a big surprise. It remained unnoticed by researchers in the vocal learning field until now. Professor Ten told the university website, that makes it a very special discovery. Mimicking sounds is a rare characteristic. There is evidence of vocal learning in dolphins, whales, elephants, and bats, but it does not appear to be in the nature of most mammals. However, some birds, most famously parrots, can mimic sound. Although, also for this group, vocal learning is rare. Professor Ten said it. Said it? Said it. I invented a word. Said it.
Yep.
We know that songbirds, parrots, and hummingbirds can learn to make specific sounds. This includes many species, but that is because vocal learning originated in the ancestral species of these groups. Researchers previously assumed that vocal learning evolved in only 3 of 35 orders of bird species, but thanks to Ripper, Professor Ten can now introduce a new order into the group. To observe vocal learning in such groups makes this find extra remarkable. Documentary tells the experiment. Okay, well, there's no audio. Dang it. Oh, here he is. Australian duck. Okay, let's hear what he has to say.
Yeah.
Really? That's it? That's it? Hold on. Hold on. Oh, wait a minute. You bloody fool. That's it? That's what he... Oh, God. Okay, that's a little bit better. So, okay, so there's Ripper the duck.
Oh, if it's Australian, you bloody fool is pretty accurate considering the parlance down there.
You bloody fool. You bloody fool. It sounds like he's singing there. You bloody fool.
Probably was singing.
You bloody fool. You bloody fool.
Have you ever heard a shoebill walking into a room?
No, I don't think I have.
There's this video of a shoebill walking into a room. It sounds like there's a firefight going on.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds like it's firing off a machine gun.
Okay, for our next animal story. Actually, this is a feel-good story here. So, local high schoolers in Colorado help police round up escaped goat herd.
Oh, nice.
There you go. September 17th, UPI. Police in Colorado said some helpful high schoolers came to the assistance of an animal protection officer when a herd of goats got loose from the city park. The Boulder Police Department said in a Facebook post that the goats were being used to get rid of weeds at Harlow Platts Park, but they got loose from their pen on Thursday when someone tampered with the electric fence, keeping them contained. Animal Protection Officer Stacy Ward responded to the scene with a park ranger and attempted to round up the wandering goats. The police department said a nearby group of high schoolers came to the duo's assistance and helped corral and leash the animals. After they were back at the pen, they realized 3 goats were missing. Thankfully, they were found at nearby Southern Hills Middle School, where a teacher was holding the bad goats in. Oh, the post said, darn it. Let's see. Let's check the Facebook post.
An emu shoulder or
okay,
insurance.
All right, the Facebook post is just another photo, but it's kids helping out in the community. There you go.
Yeah. Thing is, I live in a community, or I live in a small town or now I live outside of that small town, but the place I grew up with is such a nice community that they come together if anything weird happens,
Well, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Having a community like that is one of the coolest things.
Yeah. That's pretty rare these days.
Yes, it is.
So, okay. Well, anyway, we're coming up on 1 hour, 12 minutes. Where the heck is the Steve Botham greatest story of all time? Yes, it is.
Yep. The goat. Animal news is Emma news.
Emma news. Okay. Well, let's wrap this up here. That's a good place to end it. I'd like to thank the Orange Chat Reviews for joining us on such short notice.
Mm-hmm. Very well.
Tell everybody where they can find you, what you do, what you're all about.
I am Orange Chat Reviews. I do movie reviews, entertainment news. I report on the controversial stuff. I give my own take. I do Wednesday morning streams at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard. They're mystery reviews. I have one planned for this Wednesday if nothing happens in real life to stop it. I give hints on my Twitter or when I post up. You could follow me on Twitter at orangehat2185. I also have a politics channel if you care about politics. It's Orange Hat Politics. That's a newer channel because I've had requests for political content. But on my main channel, I also do movie discussions or where I discuss franchises every couple weeks, and I also do versus streams in between those Fridays, like every other Friday, the Friday in between. I would do versus streams of different characters in comics, movies, and whatnot. I've done streams like Commando versus Rambo, John Wick versus The Accountant, Superman versus Goku. I actually came up with a decisive victory for that one. And many other different ones like that. The next one actually is this Friday night. It is going to be a Predator versus a Klingon. So if you guys are interested in those sort of things, let me know, or you can subscribe to my channel. Make sure you turn on the notifications to get updated. I try to get my content out as often as I can, but with real life right now, it's been sparse, but I do try to get one out every day. And yeah, that's basically what what my stuff is all about.
Cool. All right, cool. Now, wait a minute. We have a reaction to Terrence and Phillip were asked about on Conan, one of the last Conan's interviews about what about the whole Me Too thing and the celebrities getting money from that. And this was their reaction. So Terrence and Phillip.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. You don't have to apologize. Hey, let's play it again.
I could watch that all night.
Why not? Hey, one more time. You can never get too much of smacking Brie Larson.
Exactly.
All right, everybody. That's the show for this week. Join us again next week during the day. You can find me here at Mecca's channel. You can find me everywhere. I'm everywhere you want to be. A few places you don't. Everybody have a good rest of your weekend, the rest of your Sunday night. Take care of yourselves and each other. We will catch you next time.